Bishop's greetings. May the new spring bring warmth and hope to the world. Today, in order to celebrate the upcoming Guanyin's birthday on the coming Monday, we are going to continue the Woman in Buddhism series with a mystic yet extremely well-known mother figure in Buddhism, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, also known as Guanyin in Chinese Mahayana Buddhism. As the saying goes, there is an Amitabha Buddha in every home, a Guanyin Bodhisattva in every family. The Amitabha faith, as well as the Guanyin faith, are perhaps the most popular Buddhist beliefs among Eastern Buddhists. Guanyin in particular is being revered in cities and villages, on fishermen's boats, by travelers, and can be found pretty much everywhere whenever human beings reside. This shows the close relationship between Guanyin and everyday life. So who is Guanyin? Guanyin in Chinese is Guan Shi Yin, observer of the sounds of the world, which means one who hears the cries of the world and reaches out to relieve those who are suffering. In Chinese, Guanyin is also known as Guan Zizai, which means Lord who has attained self-mastery. Guan Zizai is one who is able to remain with perfect ease whilst gaining perfect insight into the reality of the world. Thus, the master who looks from up high and guards all living beings with skillful means is a very clear image of Avalokitesvara. Other than these two well-known names, Avalokitesvara is also known as the bestower of fearlessness, or the great compassion bodhisattva, the great being with interpenetrative faculties, or Guanyin of the South Sea, and so on. Why is Guanyin the most common friend among Buddhists? According to the Great Compassion Dharani Sutra, Guanyin Bodhisattva has already attained Buddhahood countless eons ago and was named Righteous Dharma Illuminated Tathagata, 正法明如来. Nevertheless, this Tathagata chose to reverse the path of Buddhahood and return to the Saha world to deliver sentient beings with the right conditions for liberation. Stories of how she helped sentient beings be rid of suffering are recorded in detail in the Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva Universal Gate chapter of the Lotus Sutra and several other texts. Guanyin's great compassion, great vow for universal deliverance, omnipresence, and expedient means in guiding every kind of sentient being to liberation are mostly manifested in the form of a mother figure, as well as the following types of powers. There are many types of Guanyin power, and the first type, which I would like to discuss with you today, is that Guanyin has the power of a wish granter. In the Universal Gate chapter, Guanyin uses her interpenetrative hearing faculty to hear the cries for help and reaches out and offers deliverance according to the need of that being. How does Guanyin confirm that this being is in need of help? A condition was given by the Buddha when asked why Guanyin is called as such. Good men, if there be countless hundreds of millions of billions of living beings experiencing all manner of suffering, who hear of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva and call his name with single-minded effort, then Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva will instantly observe the sound of their cries, and they will all be liberated. What does a living being have to do to get Guanyin's help? The answer is to call Guanyin's name with single-minded effort. This symbolizes your unwavering faith in the Bodhisattva, as well as her supernatural power to sense your cry and then respond to you accordingly. Thus, it is always a two-way street. When the Bodhisattva is ready to go all out to grant you your wish, you must also do your best to dedicate your body, mind, and speech to finding liberation with her help. Once this two-way spiritual communication is established, you're set to express what category of wish you would like Guanyin to grant you. The first category of wish is liberation from the 7 calamities. After Buddha's one-line answer to why Guanyin is thus named Guanyin, he goes on to explain, if anyone upholds the name of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva were to fall into a great fire, the fire would be unable to burn that person due to the Bodhisattva's awe-inspiring spiritual powers. If anyone carried away by a flood were to call his name, that person would immediately reach a shallow place. Hatred causes us to burn in the fire of negative impulses that lead to aggressive responses to things or conditions that go against our wishes. Anger burns our sense and proper judgment. It burns the bridges of personal relationships, and it burns our opportunities and futures. Anger pretty much burns all our roots of virtue and good causes and conditions. Calling out to Guanyin with single-minded effort helps us find the power of loving kindness and compassion, which can extinguish the fire of anger and help us regain a calm and collected mind. Greed causes us to pursue an endless array of material, physical, and mental desires, like trying to fill up a dark abyss. Like a poisoned root that hinders the growth of a tree, or an unhealing wound on the leg that stops you from progressing further on the path of Buddhahood. We continue to drown in the dissatisfaction of unfulfilled desires. Calling out to Guanyin with single-minded effort helps us find the power to resurface and come on shore to the ground of generosity. In the sutra, it says, if there are beings in the hundreds of millions of billions who go out to sea in search of such treasures as gold, silver, lapis lazuli, mother of pearl, carnelian, coral, amber, and pearls, and if a fierce storm were to blow their ship off course to make landfall in the territory of Rakshas, and further, if among them there is even one person who calls the name of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, then all of those people will be liberated from the torment of Rakshas. This is why the Bodhisattva is named observing the sounds of the world. We know that the storm of ignorance will blow us off track, causing us to lose our directions and blinding us from the truth. The Rakshas refer to the delusions of lust, fame, money, and other worldly temptations. Calling out to Guanyin with single-minded effort helps us awaken the power of faith, discipline, shame, repentance, receptiveness to the Dharma, equanimity, and meditative wisdom, which will calm the storm of obscured spiritual intelligence. Next, the sutra says, if someone facing imminent attack calls the name of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, the knives and clubs held by the attackers will then break into pieces, and that person will attain liberation. Knives and clubs are usually operated under immense hatred and animosity. So people wave them and strike others with them with the intention of causing harm or destroying what is in their way. In the same way, when we are jealous of other people's success and wish to sabotage them, destroy them, so they're never better than us, we are also waving the harmful weapons of knives and clubs in the name of jealousy and hatred to defend our pride and ego. Calling out to Guanyin with single-minded effort will arouse our empathy and compassion, so we become more kind and accepting of all the things in this world that do not belong to us. As the saying goes, learning to appreciate rather than possess will give us a bigger world. Next, the sutra goes on. If a great 3,000-fold world system was full of yakshas and rakshas seeking to torment people, and someone called the name of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, these evil demons would not even be able to see that person with their evil eyes, much less do any harm. The Yakshas and Rakshas here refer to the delusions of fame and gain, which can cause us to become blind to right thought and right view. As a result, we resort to all kinds of unwholesome deeds, which will eventually lead to nothing but harm. Calling out to Guanyin with single-minded effort will help us give rise to right mindfulness and drive away all the delusive temptations of life. Now, if someone, whether guilty or not guilty, who is bound and fettered with manacles, shackles, and kange, calls the name of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, then all the bonds will be broken, and that person will instantly attain liberation. No one wants to be in shackles or bonds that will take away their ability to move around freely. This is the tangible shackles or bonds. How about the intangible shackles or bonds? These are our attachment to anything related to the self and stubbornness to open up to any views or knowledge that appears strange to what we take to be that self. Calling out to Guanyin with single-minded effort will help us shatter those shackles and bonds of self-view, self-attachment, self-desire, and self-pride. Next, if a great 3,000-fold world system were full of malevolent brigands, and a merchant chief were leading many merchants carrying valuable treasures along a perilous road, and among them one man were to speak up and said, "Good man, do not be afraid. You should call the name of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva with single-minded effort, for this Bodhisattva can bestow fearlessness upon living beings. If you call his name, then you will surely be liberated from these malevolent brigands." And upon hearing this, if all of the merchants were to call out, "I take refuge in Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva," then by calling his name, they would instantly attain liberation. While we can buy the most expensive security system to block out thieves and bandits who prey on our wealth, no such physical system can drive out the inner thieves that steal our awareness, virtue, and consciousness. Calling out to Guanyin with single-minded effort will help maintain a clear and pure mind that stays connected to wisdom and reality, so we can safeguard the greatest treasure of life, the mind. To sum up the above, our wish is to be freed from the 7 external calamities of burning fire, flooding water, knives and clubs, fierce storm, evil spirits, or the shackles and prison which cause extreme fear and suffering, can all be dispelled by the awe-inspiring spiritual powers of the great Guanyin Bodhisattva. Next, while Guanyin is able to grant our wishes to eliminate the 7 external delusions, the ones caused by the outside world, we also wish to be freed from the internal delusions caused by the mind. Every day, we have all kinds of dramas going on inside the mind that influence our physical behaviors tremendously. Known as the 3 major factors that bond us to suffering, greed, anger, and ignorance continue to harm the mind and suppress our innate ability to become awakened and find peace. In this case, greed refers to the attachment to sensual desires. It causes us to pursue an endless array of physical pleasures, like trying to fill up a dark abyss. We continue to drown in the dissatisfaction of unfulfilled desires. Calling out to Guanyin with single-minded effort helps us find the power to seize the flood and discover other ways to find joy and fulfillment. Hatred, once aroused, opens up the door to endless hindrances to peace and enlightenment. Aggression never solves problems. It only creates more unresolvable issues. Calling out to Guanyin with single-minded effort helps us find the power to extinguish the fire and refocus the mind on kindness and compassion. To be liberated from the poison of ignorance, we call out to Guanyin with single-minded effort so that Guanyin will guide us out of the maze of clouded judgment and entangled vision. To see clearly where we are headed will help sever the root of birth and death. The third type of wish Guanyin grants are parents who pray for a son or daughter. In the Universal Gate chapter, it says, if any woman wishes for a male child by worshipping and making offerings to Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, she will then give birth to a son blessed with merit and wisdom. If she wishes for a female child, she will then give birth to a daughter blessed with well-formed and attractive features, one who has planted the roots of virtue over lifetimes and is cherished and respected by all. What appears to be a simple wish can totally change the fate of a family. As we know, children are the future of life. At the same time, to give birth to a son or daughter who can help bring goodness and hope to our future will mean a whole world of difference. Guanyin hears the despairs of barren parents and compassionately offers them a new ray of hope in life by blessing both the mother and the children with tremendous merits, wisdom, and compassion. The power to grant sentient beings their wishes to be free from life's troubles and fears. That is why Guanyin Bodhisattva receives such high praise from the Buddha. Akshayamati. Lofty indeed are the awe-inspiring spiritual powers of the great Bodhisattva called Avalokitesvara. We are going to pause here with the first type of Guanyin power for this week. Please tune in next week for the other 4 types of Guanyin power that can help us find liberation from the Saha world. On March 21st this year, which is lunar February 19th, it will be Guanyin Bodhisattva's birthday. To celebrate this day, we can chant the Universal Gate chapter, read Venerable Master Xingyun's prayer to Guanyin Bodhisattva, or single-mindedly chant Guanyin Bodhisattva's name to wish for world peace and liberation from suffering for all living beings. So thank you very much for listening. We will see you next week.
The 2022 spring term of the Shan North America Humanistic Buddhism courses are also beginning. If you would like to have a deeper study and practice of the Dharma, sign up for these wonderful classes given by our Shan Venerables in North America. Thank you again for tuning in to this episode of English Dharma Services, and may you find inspiration and joy in the Dharma. 阿弥陀佛。